What happens when pure talent collides with fearless creativity? Bridging. Live on national television?
The night Jim Carrey stepped onto The Tonight Show, comedy stopped being jokes and became transformation in real time. From Kevin Bacon to Wile E. Coyote, this wasn't just an appearance week. It was a legendary performance that changed comedy forever.
What happens when pure talent meets fearless creativity on live television? Tonight, we're going back to a legendary late-night moment that proves comedy isn't just about jokes. It's about transformation. When Jim Carrey stepped onto The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson, he didn't come prepared with punchlines. He came prepared to become someone else. In a matter of minutes, the stage turned into a playground of impressions, physical comedy, and raw, unpredictable energy. From his intense take on Kevin Bacon to his jaw-dropping transformation into Wile E. Coyote, this wasn't just an appearance. It was a performance that defined an era. In this video, we're breaking down why this moment still matters today, how Jim Carrey's impressions went beyond mimicry, and why Johnny Carson knew he was witnessing something truly special. Sit back, because this isn't just nostalgia. This is a masterclass in comedy. When Jim Carrey walked onto the stage of The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson, it didn't feel like just another celebrity appearance. It felt like controlled chaos wrapped in charm. This was a time when late-night television demanded more than rehearsed anecdotes. It required presence, timing, and the ability to command attention without props or safety nets. From the moment Jim Carrey sat down across from Johnny Carson, the energy in the room shifted. There was a spark, a sense that something unpredictable was about to happen. Carson, a master of reading talent, leaned in with curiosity rather than control, allowing Carrey the space to unleash what would become one of the most memorable impression performances in late-night history. What made this moment special wasn't simply that Jim Carrey could imitate voices or facial expressions. It was that he became the people and characters he portrayed. Before impressions even began, Carrey's body language told a story. His posture changed mid-sentence, his eyes widened with intent, and his face became elastic, as if his features themselves were preparing for transformation. This was not stand-up comedy in the traditional sense. It was performance art, built on fearless exaggeration and razor-sharp observation. The studio audience sensed it instantly. Laughter didn't just erupt, it built, wave after wave, because viewers weren't watching jokes being delivered. They were watching a performer surrender completely to instinct. Carson, famously selective with praise, allowed the moment to breathe. He didn't interrupt. He didn't rush. He understood that this was one of those rare television moments where the guest takes over, not out of ego, but because the performance demands it. This era of television mattered. There was no viral safety net, no short-form clip culture, no second chances through edits. Every second aired live, and Jim Carrey understood that pressure intuitively. His comedic roots, physical comedy, character immersion, and fearless commitment were perfectly suited to Carson's stage. This wasn't imitation for applause, it was transformation for impact. The audience wasn't just laughing at impressions, they were witnessing the birth of a mainstream comedy force. By the time Carson nudged the conversation toward impressions, the anticipation was already high. Viewers could sense that what was coming wouldn't be ordinary. Carrey had that rare ability to look completely unhinged yet entirely in control at the same time. It's the kind of energy that can't be taught, only refined. And on that night, in that studio, refinement met raw instinct. When Jim Carrey launched into his impression of Kevin Bacon, the brilliance lay not in accuracy alone, but in interpretation. Rather than copying Bacon mechanically, Carrey distilled his essence, his intensity, his dramatic seriousness, his distinctive physical confidence, and then exaggerated it just enough to turn recognition into comedy. This is where great impressions separate themselves from forgettable ones. Anyone can mimic a voice. Very few can capture a presence. Carrey's posture shifted instantly. His shoulders squared. His movements became deliberate, almost theatrical. His face settled into a controlled intensity that mirrored Bacon's on-screen persona. But then came the twist. Carrey pushed it further, bending realism into absurdity without breaking the illusion. The audience wasn't laughing because it was silly. They were laughing because it was true, just amplified through a funhouse mirror. Johnny Carson's reaction was key. He wasn't laughing politely. he was genuinely entertained. Carson had seen countless impressions over decades, yet this one stood out because it didn't rely on punchlines. The humor emerged organically from performance. Carrey understood something crucial. Impressions are funniest when the audience recognizes the source immediately, even before it's named. And in this case, recognition hit within seconds. What made the Kevin Bacon impression resonate was timing. Carrey didn't rush. He allowed pauses to land, letting the audience catch up to the transformation. He played with rhythm, sometimes holding a facial expression just long enough to become uncomfortable before snapping back in emotion. This control over silence is rare, especially in high-energy performers, but Carrey wielded it expertly. Beyond comedy, this impression showcased Jim Carrey's acting instincts. He wasn't mocking Kevin Bacon. He was honoring the dramatic seriousness that made Bacon compelling in the first place. Comedy born from respect always lands harder, and the audience felt that. The laughter wasn't cruel, it was appreciative. In retrospect, moments like this explain why Jim Carrey transitioned so seamlessly into film stardom. His impressions weren't isolated tricks, they were character studies. Each performance demonstrated that he could observe, internalize, and recreate human behavior with uncanny clarity. The Tonight Show audience wasn't just watching a funny guest. They were witnessing an actor testing the limits of live television. If the Kevin Bacon impression showcased Jim Carrey's observational intelligence, the Wile E. Coyote performance revealed his complete surrender to physical comedy. This was not just an impression, it was a full-body transformation. Carrey didn't merely reference the character. He became a living cartoon on live television. And that is an incredibly risky thing to attempt without animation, sound effects, or editing. The genius of this moment lay in restraint followed by explosion. Carrey began subtly, adjusting his facial expressions to mimic the coyote's silent frustration. His eyes widened, his jaw tightened, and his mouth contorted into shapes that seemed anatomically impossible. Then came the physical escalation, sharp head snaps, exaggerated pauses, and sudden bursts of movement that mirrored classic cartoon timing. What made this extraordinary was Carrey's understanding of animation physics. He didn't move like a human pretending to be a cartoon. He moved like a cartoon forced into a human body. Every pause felt intentional. Every reaction landed with precision. The audience wasn't laughing at the silliness. They were laughing because their childhood memories were suddenly alive in 3 dimensions. Johnny Carson leaned back, allowing the performance to unfold uninterrupted. This was a visual experience, not something that could be guided through questions. And Carrey knew it. He trusted the character. He trusted silence. He trusted that the audience would follow him into this exaggerated reality. The brilliance of the Wile E. Coyote impression was that it required no explanation, no setup, no context. Everyone knew the character, and Carrey tapped directly into that shared cultural memory. He demonstrated how powerful physical comedy can be when executed with commitment and precision. This performance also highlighted something rare in mainstream comedy: fearlessness. Many performers hesitate to look foolish on live television. Carrey embraced it fully. His willingness to distort his face, body, and dignity in service of laughter is what made him unforgettable. In that moment, he wasn't trying to be cool. He was trying to be great. Decades later, Jim Carrey's appearance on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson remains more than just a viral clip. It stands as a masterclass in performance. In an age dominated by short-form content and quick edits, this moment reminds us of the power of live, uninterrupted talent. There were no filters, no second takes, no safety nets. Just a performer, a stage, and an audience. What makes this appearance timeless is its authenticity. Carrey wasn't chasing trends. He was expressing something deeply personal: his love for character, movement, and transformation. That authenticity resonates even now, especially for aspiring creators trying to build original content. This wasn't recycled humor. It was crafted in the moment, fueled by instinct and preparation. Johnny Carson's platform mattered, but it was Jim Carrey's fearlessness that turned opportunity into legacy. Carson gave him space, but Carrey filled it with imagination. The balance between host and guest, control and chaos, structure and spontaneity. This is what made late-night television magical. For modern audiences, Revisiting this performance is a reminder that true originality doesn't come from copying formats. It comes from understanding fundamentals. Timing, presence, commitment. These are timeless skills, and Jim Carrey demonstrated all of them in one unforgettable appearance. This is why the clip continues to circulate, inspire, and entertain. It's not nostalgia alone. It's excellence. Moments like this remind us why live television once felt electric. No edits, no shortcuts, just talent, courage, and timing. Jim Carrey didn't simply entertain that night. He showed the world what happens when an artist commits fully to their craft without fear of looking ridiculous. That's why this performance still lives on, still inspires comedians, and still makes audiences laugh decades later. If you enjoyed revisiting this legendary Tonight Show moment, make sure to like the video, share it with someone who loves classic comedy, and subscribe for more deep dives into unforgettable television history. Because true talent never ages, it only becomes more legendary with time.